What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Ayo Alarapon. Listen, all right, real quick. I want to say an apology. You didn't know this. I have been struggling with procrastination a little bit, so that's why you all haven't been getting the consistent. But I'm getting it fixed. Okay, so if you haven't already, two of the pods, I think it was the repentance one and the rebirth one, and the first episode of this new series that we're talking about, which is mental health, have already been posted. Hopefully, you guys have already watched that. If y'all haven't, what are y'all doing? Stop this video, go watch it right now before I get mad. Anyway, welcome back to the Unmasked, man. How you doing, Loyalty? Feeling good?
Man, feeling good, man. It's been a tough week for me, but
Feeling good,
I'm
man.
here. Yeah.
Before we get started, man, shout out to Great Day Ministries for allowing us to have this sanctuary, man, to be able to do these pods, man. If you guys want sound doctrine and y'all want pure gospel, pure faith, and pure truth, pull up, man. Every Sunday at 10:30. Shout out to my boy Loyalty, you know what I'm saying? Staying consistent, you know what I'm saying? Hasn't changed his name to Unmasked yet, but we getting there. We're getting there slowly but surely. But hopefully you guys are going to enjoy this topic in this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like. Most definitely subscribe, you know what I'm saying? That shows y'all support to us of how good of a job we've been doing. And most importantly, just comment down below if there's any topics or anything like that y'all want us to talk about. All of our socials and everything will be down below. And yeah, let's get into this topic, man. But before we get started, Loyalty, how you doing today? Like, what you had going on today?
Man, to be honest, it's been a very emotional week for me. So, but right now I'm in a good headspace. Right now,
Right.
I'm doing very good. I appreciate all the prayers but yeah, I'm here. Let's talk about it, man.
Yeah, man. What's been going on? If you don't mind me asking.
Man, I would say just my business. It's winter time, so business kind of goes slow, with training like kids and stuff like that because I'm a coach. And but business is going well. It's sometimes it get tough and it's profitable and sometimes it go down. But I'm just staying consistent with my business and just focusing on that. Also my mental health as well too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, man? Let's talk about you. What's up with you?
My life has been a roller coaster a little bit. Definitely. It's funny how we talk about mental health, and that's literally like the roller coaster I've been on. It's not like I've been having like crazy mood swings, but I've been realizing a lot of times in my life that a lot of my emotions and how I act comes from like a place of trauma, like that I haven't dealt with in my mind.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of been like showing up a lot recently, but it's keeping me in a place of like self-reflection. Like I feel like that's the point where I'm at right now, self-reflecting. Like there's not a point of time that I go through life throughout like my whole week that I don't think about the decisions I made and why I made them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what my week been. And actually, like I'm not gonna lie, like with the topic of today and with like kind of recapping from last pod talking about emotional intelligence, like that's kind of what we're gonna talk about a little bit today, but in the aspect of anxiety. Because I'm not gonna lie, like I think a lot of times, like especially for me, I feel like I struggle with it a lot sometimes when it comes to like certain things that when it comes to like plans and like when it comes to like people and stuff like that. I feel like most definitely, even recently in my life, I feel like it's been showing up a little bit.
Yeah.
And thank God to emotional intelligence helping me like being able to like notice that and wanted to do something about it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But I kind of want to do something different. Has there been a time in your life where you've struggled with anxiety?
There's been many times where I struggle with anxiety, bro. There are times where I worry too much and like think about things that it may seems like it's unnecessary, but I worry a lot, and this worry causes fear to come upon me sometimes. And with fear also comes with insecurity and all these things and different kinds of emotion and stuff like that too. And like even with my business that I'm running right now too, there are times when my business will hit rock bottom and I have no clue what's about to happen next. And I will start overthinking, worrying, but that's when God comes in and calms me down and say, trust me, you gotta trust me, this is gonna work out. And I try my best to, rely on God, but still I still try to figure things out my own way and lean on my own understanding and my own strength and power, and that's when things goes wrong. So it's like when God is telling me, hey, I got this, trust me, put your trust in me, I try my best to put my trust in him. When I do put my trust in God, things do work out a lot. But sometimes when you panic, because when you're like panicking because you feel like you need things to get done, you need like this to work out in the way that you want it to work out, and it's not always going to work out the way you want it to work out because you're trying to rely on your own self. And I do that a lot. So when it comes to my business, bro, I actually experience a lot of anxiety sometimes because it's a lot of pressure, and it's like, hey, that's where my daily bread is coming from. You know, without it, I'm not going to eat if I don't
Right, if
if
you
God
don't
don't
do this,
provide for me.
right.
So it's like I'm trusting God fully, and there's so many times like situations where I just start to panic, but like, and then when I catch myself and come back like, hey, I'm a child of God. God got me. Why am I tripping? Why am I worrying too much? Why am I stressing? Why is fear coming upon me? I do go to scriptures, like for example, even David, he was struggling with anxiety too, because when you read the book of Psalm, he was a lot of prayer, a lot of praises, a lot of cries, complaints, everything. He was talking about those things, and I learned a lot from David as well too. Like even Peter, when Jesus walked in the water, he thought he saw the ghost, but he was panicking. He was in fear. Anxiety came upon him, but then Jesus calmed his nerve down. But during that time, when he took his eyes of Jesus, he started to sink. So a lot of time, when I take my eyes of Jesus, of God, and try to focus on my own, understanding, own will, that's when the storm, I start to sink in, sink deeper in the storm. But when I, open my Bible again and start, reflecting on God's word, like, hey, this is God got this under control. Don't cast all your worries and fears upon his feet, and he will, carry you through. And that's what I've been doing. And God just helped me in that area as well too. So for sure, man.
Yeah, so I want to ask this. I have a couple questions. My first question is pertaining to anxiety. You gave a short definition of anxiety, which is basically it comes from fear, right? And pertaining to your business, you say a lot of times that you have anxiety due to like the different things that you want to do. So my first question to you is, what are you afraid of?
Failure.
Failure.
Bro, I'm afraid to fail, bro, because I feel like there's so much expectation of me to like perform, even on myself. I put so much expectation on myself, like, hey, if you don't get this done, you're not going to be there. You're not going to be there. Like, and I have family as well too. I'm trying to provide for my family, to make them proud, to be a better man, a better person, and I don't want to fail, bro. And that's something I feel like God is telling me, like, hey, I'm here for you. You're not going to fail. I'm not going to put you to shame or disgrace, and that's one thing I fear to fail, bro. I don't want to be a failure in life. And sometimes I feel like Satan try to remind me of all the things I've done wrong. Yeah.
So with failure, do you feel like what is it about failure that scares you? Because like, not everything's always going to work out in our favor. Some things just happen that's in our control, and some things happen outside of our control. So like, what is it about failure that keeps you wanting to stop being like that's not wanting you to fail?
Yeah. So I think when it comes to failure, I think failure is necessary because it's a life lessons that we can learn from as well too and get back from it. But one thing I do fear is that when I fail, would I get back up, or am I going to stay down? And I don't know what's going to happen next. So I do put a lot of pressure on myself to try to perform and like strive. So it's not that failure is a thing that's that terrible or is that bad or it's like impossible that you can't come back from it. You can't, but can you get back up? When things hit you, how can you see things from a different perspective? How can you go about things? How can you handle things? And I don't know all things. I try to to overcome the failure that I go through sometimes because I have failed and I get back up. But sometimes I'm thinking, what if I ever fail in this situation or in this place and I can't get back up again?
Yeah, I think that's real. I kind of want to speak to something that you said because one thing that you said that I caught on to was the fact that when you fail, you learn a lesson from it.
Yeah.
So it's like being afraid of failing is like being afraid of learning. So like if you're not trying to fail so you can learn from whatever you did so you don't make that same mistake again, how would you even know how you're going to react if you're too scared of it? And I
Right.
think like even like in my life, in my aspect of things, like I want to ask you the same question where, the reason why I'm scared of failure is because of trauma. Being in my house, having to always overachieve at everything, all the things that I've done in my household has been overlooked. Like, this is a secret. I never even told nobody this. You know, I don't do chores around my house sometimes.
Chores.
I don't. I like, say if I'm at somebody else's house, bro, I'll clean plates, I'll fold their laundry. Like, even at my group home job, where I cook food for the whole house and everything. But why do I not do that at my own house? Trauma. Every single time I've done those things, it's been overlooked. There's no validation. There's no, oh, thank you, Ayo. Like, there's no appreciation. So what it started doing was I started being closed off to that. And then what started happening was, because of that neglect from my parents, not seeing the achievements and not seeing the fruits of what I was doing, it made me want to overachieve and be extra. So now with my anxiety, that's where I'm afraid to fail, because I don't want to, because it's crazy how people only want to look at your failures and not your achievements. So I'm scared of failure because people don't already look at my achievements. How they going to look at me when I do fall? So would you say like that aspect of being afraid of fail, do you think that stems from like from you growing up? Because we African, bro. There's no failure in the African household. So do you feel like that actually stems from that?
I'll go back to my childhood. My parents left and they came to the United States, and I was in Ghana. My parents left me with people to take care of me, people to feel like they could trust to take care of me. But during that time, I was being mistreated. And my nickname was Home Alone because I was always home alone. I was always in the street.
Oh, wow.
I was trying to figure things out on my own. And I was like maybe 6 or 5 at that time. And I got kicked out the house because, you know, I wasn't the best child, you know, at that time. But when I got kicked out the house, I definitely, I went to stay with my siblings. And they couldn't take care of themselves, so there was always fighting, arguing. So they'll leave the house and come home like whenever they feel like coming, and I'm just there left alone. So Home Alone, that's where I got that nickname from. And during that time, I had to go out there, find something to eat, find company. I didn't have nothing. I was going in the street, just trying to play ball, soccer, just make something out of my life, my lonely life, because no one was there at home waiting for me. I had a big house just, by itself, and I had to go out there, try to make things happen by myself. It's almost like I was taking care of myself, if that makes sense. And that's where, when I think of it now that I have overcome, those hard times, it feels like now, currently it affects me because I have to think of, I don't want to be put in that situation again. So I don't want to go back there. So it's like now I have to strive. I have to keep going, pushing,
right.
because if I don't, I might just be in that situation again. That's how I feel when it comes to like anxiety. And when those memories come back to me, there is a sense of fear, and anxiety and like uneasiness in my mind, or like stress that might cause me to panic sometimes, or act in a certain way, or like react in a certain way, or respond in a certain way of things that I shouldn't respond in a certain way. But memories of the past, trauma that comes back to me sometimes and causes me to want to act. But like I said, God always been protecting me throughout my young days, my young age. It's always been God who's been leading me through it. That's why sometimes I just feel like I cannot do it all by myself. Only God has to be there for me.
No, that's real, bro. And I thank you for sharing that, bro. Like, that's deep. And like you said, like, I think that's a lot of the times where anxiety shows up. So I want to ask you, like, when you feel like you're near that bridge, because like there's like always a breaking point to everything. So like when you're near that bridge of you feeling like you're about to get back to that space of, oh snap, like this might happen. Like what is your panic at? What happens with that loyalty? Like where does that loyalty run to? Does he run towards, that fight or flight where it's like, oh snap, my back is against the wall, so now I got to do everything that I need to do to be able to like like get up out the situation? Or what else does loyalty do in that space when he sees himself going down that path?
You mentioned on the fight or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight.
It's definitely fight. And it's fight because I feel like I have to. Like bro. Like most of the time, I just try to fight through things and go through the motion, and not just stand there and just let it crumble. So it's like I'm fighting means in the scripture, you also say that prayer without faith without prayer is like prayer with faith without action is dead. Like so, it's like you praying to God up for something and you just don't take no action. You just try and relax and expecting all the miracles to happen and God just favor you and all the blessings to come. And you just lay on your behind doing nothing. You're not doing anything, bro. Right. You're not progressing. You're not. Nothing is happening because God is not going to come down from heaven to make something happen for you. He's going to bless you based on how you're moving and how you rely on him. Same thing with Abraham. Like Abraham was a man that he had faith in God, but he was actively working. He was putting his faith to work. Right. He wasn't just chilling. So like with the whole thing, like I have to fight. I pray and I fight. Fight means like not me like physically fighting or fighting things on my own. It's just me taking actions every day, just striving. You got to get things done. You can't procrastinate a lot. You procrastinate a lot, it's not helping you at all. You're just going to be there and stuck. You can pray all the prayer. I feel like people think pray is just praying and just sit down. It's praying and taking action. If you pray and take action, God sees your work. He's going to bless you. It's impossible for you to pray to God and then move and he does nothing. It's impossible. But you pray to God and just sit down and do nothing, that you're tripping. You know
I want to bring a perspective to that fight or flight, because when we hear about fight or flight, I look at it as like a reaction and a response to something. Like flying, if you think about a plane at one point goes on cruise mode. Yeah. Rather fighting, it's like depending on what you're fighting, increases the level of how you fight. Are you fighting to, protect yourself, or are you fighting because your life depends on it type of fight? You know what I'm saying? So when you're saying fight, what does that fight look like? Because if, like, let's say, like, all right, we went from, all right, loyalty, anxiety, business, then we see where it stems from, but then now it's, all right, I'm scared to go to this route because if I fall in this route, I know I'm going to fight. But what does that fighting pertain of? Is it fighting as in making impulsive decisions? Because I look at it like fighting is like, you're in like survival mode. It's like it's either killed or kill or be killed type thing, rather than a flight where it's like, okay, I'm still like, I'm making the constant climb, but there's a certain point where I'm like at peace. So what does that fight look like?
So how does that fight look like? For me, I would say, for example, let's go back to David. When he was going through all this distress, he had a bunch of armies trying to come at him, and like he had a fight, right? He fought. David killed a lot of people. But during that time, what did he do? He relied on God. Was he doing that by his own strength? No. He was fighting because he was in survival mode. He had to fight to survive because he had enemies, a bunch of enemies that was coming crazy at him and was trying to take him out. And he trusted God. He prayed to God, just gave all his anxieties to God, all his complaint, his prayers to God, but then took action. He didn't just pray to God for God to just make things happen, to just get rid of his enemy. He prayed to God and then he took action. He fought, literally, battles, physical fight. For me, how fight looks like for me is me praying about all my problems and troubles that tribulations and storms that I know that's in front of me and I can see it coming. Me praying about it and then stepping into it and taking actions on it. That's what fights look like to me. So it's not me taking things in my own matter. It's me praying about something, hey, God, this is wrong. I have this going on. I'm submitting it to you. Please take care of it. Then now I don't have to worry or stress. All I have to do is step into the situation and let God hold my hands during the storm, knowing that he's there with me and I'm not going to fall or crumble because I have an almighty God that's going to fight my battles for me, even though he's not going to literally come down from heaven and fight my battles, but he's going to then use me to fight the battles that I go through. And God is also always working behind the scene. He's in heaven. He's always working behind the scene. Like, you think you're fighting the battles and you're doing it your own, but you're not the one really, coming up with the plans. You're not the one like orchestrating things. He's the one in the background setting things up, making things happen while he's using you to move forward, if that makes sense to you.
So I like that, bro. I like that response. So it seems like that's more of a flight type of approach of things, where it's not fighting, because fighting is a reaction off of something. Like if somebody, like for example, if somebody slap you or punch you in your face out of nowhere, you're going to be in fighter mode, where it means you're not thinking, you're just punching, you just fighting. So like for example, like I'll give a little bit of like my testimony where I was in a fight or flight situation. Most of my life I've been in a fight situation because I always felt like I have to be better than somebody. You know, oh, Ayo, you're not going good at school. Look at all your friends; they're all doing good. Oh, they're going to leave you behind.
Trust
Like,
me, I've been
so,
there.
so I have to be in this position where it's like, all right, if I don't do this, then it's nothing, because I feel like I was raised up in a household where it's only tunnel vision for their purpose for me, not what I wanted for myself. So as I started going through life and I started understanding, like, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. That's when I started like taking flight in another direction where I thought it was give me peace. Then it came to a point where God had to call me to himself. I was at work October 3rd of 2022, and I just got sick out of nowhere. And I'm like, bro, what's going on? And mind you, and this is me being honest before y'all and before God, bro, I didn't even think anxiety, suicide, depression, all those mental health stuff existed, because I was such in a flight mode to where, like, if you literally looked at my mentality as a plane, I was above the sky. Like, I was too high in the clouds. I didn't think nothing could happen to me. Right? So mind you, I was so high up there that I didn't even focus on things down here. Literally, around that time, my dad died. Around that time, the whole family was in distress, fighting against each other, arguing. Around that time was when I was failing classes. I had a lot of stuff going around that time. But because I was in flight mode, I was so high above the sky, I wasn't caring about anything that was on the ground level. So now God called me to myself and put me in a position where I had no choice but to face myself. And that's when anxiety and everything started creeping in. And what happened with me when I was anxious, I was anxious to even be a failure. I was afraid and anxious about dying. Because I knew I was so high in the sky to where I didn't worry about anything on the ground level, because I didn't care. I knew that my actions was going to lead me to somewhere where I didn't want to wake up at.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Yeah, I have a question.
What's up?
So, when it comes to fighting, yeah, what does that look like for you? When because you mentioned, like, you was above, that was like a flight to you, and you feel like nothing could happen. So I have two questions. What causes you to be in the mode of flight? How did you get to that standpoint? Like, what happened that leads you to that area? And also, what does it mean to fight for you?
Are you talking about now or when I was dealing with it back then?
When you was dealing with it back then, yeah.
So flight to me looked like parties, sex,
Okay.
and having fun. I didn't even know what fighting was because I didn't want to. I'm going to be honest. That's the whole reason why I was going to these parties.
So it's like running away.
I was dead running away from the fight. The fight was within my mind. I didn't want to deal with our mind. And growing up in an African household, they don't teach you about mental health. They don't teach you about how to be one with your emotions, because if you're emotional, you're a PUSSY.
Right.
So therefore, you caring about your emotions is now, oh, you gay. Oh, who are you? What's wrong with you? So therefore, I didn't even know how to fight. All I knew was flight, because I had to make it seem like everything was good on the outside.
Do you also think that came from a place of you just holding everything within?
Absolutely. I didn't want to deal with nothing. And this is the thing, and I'm happy that you brought that up. A lot of the reasons why I was in flight mode all the time, because think about it. It's funny how we talk about planes, right? What is the one thing that you take on the plane? Baggage.
Yeah.
So I was holding everything, and I went on that plane, and I was... But mind you, because even though I'm cruising, I still had all this heavy load on the plane that I didn't need to carry. There was things that I was dealing with internally that I truly don't believe that I needed to fight for myself. I put it on myself because I was holding it for so long. And for me holding it for so long, it was like God allowed a crisis to happen in order for me to realize, hey, you got extra load on this plane. And I'm like, oh, snap. And mind you, when I was in that space where I was in and out of sleep, couldn't go to sleep because I was scared of death, Those times where I didn't eat for weeks upon weeks, bro, because I was scared to die. Those times where I was waking up and it felt like I lived this cycle of life over and over and over and over and over again. Bro, I didn't know how to fight because I didn't even know what I was going through because I thought I was above all this.
Right.
I thought I was above anxiety. I thought I was above depression until it hit me. And that's when it really became real to me. Because as soon as it became real to me, it's like, dang, what do I have? The sex is not working. The weed is not working. I physically can't get up and go to a party because I have the flu and COVID at once. Both at the same time. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever got hit with the flu and then got hit with COVID?
Nah.
You was going, like I'm talking about, I would sleep and every 5 minutes because I move in my sleep. As soon as I do this, I wake up because I'm in aching pain. Where could I fight? So it was me, myself, and I had nothing to do. What I did was I called out to my parents, I called out to this person, I called out to this person. And mind you, me calling out to these people, they couldn't help me because now my mom is looking at it like, what's going on with my son? Like, what is going on? She never seen something like this. This is not common in Africa. You don't see mental health in Africa like that. And if there is, they don't know about it because you can't, you know what I'm saying? You know. Yeah. So it's like, I didn't know how to fight, bro. So when I'm in these situations, I'm just living life. Just going through, like you said, going through the motions of life. If I wake up, I wake up. If I die, I die. But at one point, when it started changing, was truly when I truly got saved. I was praying more. Even in the times before I got saved, I was still praying, but a part of my mind was like, bro, why would you even listen to me? I'm doing all this crazy stuff. Why would you even hear me, bro? Yeah. So it's like I'm sitting through life. I'm anxious if God even wants me. I'm anxious if I should even be alive, like all these different things. And you know what? And you know what's crazy? And I think the anxiety that I was also struggling with was anxiety for the future. I think that's a lot of the times why Jesus literally preaches on being focused on today, because tomorrow is sufficient for itself. Bro, I think a lot of the times, even with us Christians, even now in this walk, we don't know how to be in the moment with God. We don't know what that looks like. We're thinking about, what we're going to wear next week or what our life is going to look like before 2025 even hit. But we're not focused on today. And I realized that the more I focus on the future, I procrastinate. And me focusing on what I want in the future and I'm not doing nothing about it in that day, bro, I'm not going to have that future that I'm thinking about because I'm not doing anything. It's what I do today that will lead me to that space. Right. So now when I'm in a space where I'm anxious, in a space where I feel, oh snap, I feel inadequate, I feel these different things showing back up, there's times where I run away from it too. There's some times where I cold turkey certain things because I don't want to go to that place. But what I have to realize that helps me is, Ayo, I'm doing this for that reason. I'm too scared of that thing.
Right.
So
like, let's say now that you're saved, right? Mm-hmm. And you have experienced all those negative things and like the flight area, you just looking down on things and just running away from all your problems. For someone who is struggling and they're going through anxiety and they're feeling all this fear, mixed emotions, panic mode, and they have no clue what to do, they're crumbling, they're just confused, and you have experienced all the things, what will you tell someone who is going through the anxiety point right now in their life to help them come out of that situation?
I'm gonna give a practical and I'm gonna give a spiritual real quick. So what I literally did in that moment of when I was feeling anxious and depressed, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, the one thing that I didn't want to do, I ended up doing, and that was getting a therapist, bro. Sometimes, like, and this is what I had to understand. This is an old theology that I had before I got saved, but this is the same theology I still have now because it still applies. You know why the number one reason why people are misunderstood all the time? One, it's because the other person who you're expressing your emotions to, they're not supposed to know how you, like, they're not supposed to understand how you feel because they're not you. And at the same time, how can somebody not misunderstand you when you don't even know how to regulate your own emotions? It's the same thing both ways. So it's like with me, I didn't know I knew I was feeling something, but I didn't even know how to explain it. I didn't even know how to conquer it. I didn't know nothing. Literally, I had to go to a therapist, bro. And I had to sit there and literally like walk through the trauma and walk through everything that I was running away from, bro. And literally explain it to her. The number one thing I think anybody should do when they're anxious is really get it out of them. Like whatever it is about. Like if it's like if you're anxious about a spouse, like say that out loud, like let that be off of you. Because anxiety, what it does, what I learned is like anxiety is like a sponge. It's like when it enters you, it absorbs everything, right? And it's holding. That's why when you're afraid, you're tense. But when you start letting it off of you, when you start giving it, like, you know, talk to a therapist, talk to somebody you trust, just like your mom, your dad, whoever it is, your therapist, whatever, your pastor, whoever it is, it alleviates the stress off of you. So now since you're getting it out, you're hearing yourself say these things, and then as you're hearing yourself, it's like, oh, I can breathe now.
Yeah.
So that's that. And in the spiritual sense, in the spiritual sense, if you're struggling with anxiety and you're in the faith, I would just, it sounds corny, pray about it, right? But here's the thing. It's not prayer as in, God, I'm going through anxiety, help me.
What is it like?
It's, this is why I'm anxious. Let's say if it's a thing about God, like for me, there's some times in my life where anxiety comes in because of God, where it's like, I ain't gonna lie, like, God, I don't know what, like, all right, boom. God has told me that I'm supposed to be this person, right? Let's say a minister or pastor at a church or something. I have anxiety because I'm struggling with things now, and I'm scared of that future if I don't physically do this now. I think being honest and open with God will help you be able to alleviate your anxiety. Prayer is a conversation of honesty where you're actually pouring your heart out. And we talk about David all the time, bro. There's not one thing that David did not say to God, bro. Even if it was the craziest thing, like, God, I do not trust you. But that's what prayer should look like, bro. Like, think about it. If you really love somebody, wouldn't you tell them the truth? Yeah, so therefore, yo, God, listen, I know I'm in this faith, bro. I don't trust you. This is why I'm anxious. And through that time, and I truly believe, like, even with like people like Peter, I feel like Peter got out the boat because he wanted to show his muscle, like, hey, yeah, I can get on it. But if he was really honest, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not coming on this water. I don't have that much faith. I feel like Jesus would have still honored him.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to I want to touch on that too. I feel like a lot of times we're in a boat and there's a storm. And the only person who can really calm the storm is God. He knows it all, right? And it's like when we focus on God and not the storms, we see things going in a way that we don't even feel the storm. Like it's not even there, right? But I don't know, but there's times where you might be going through a lot of pain, a lot of troubles, a lot of chaos, and you just don't feel it. And it happens to me. Like I'll be crushing down. Like I'll be in a rock bottom and I don't feel it. It's because at that time I'm focusing on God. There's times where I'm praising God, bro, where I'm going through a lot of problems and I'm like praising him. I'm just joyful. Like, why am I joyful when there's problems? Why am I happy? Like, what's going on? And that's me focusing on God. And that's like the same thing Peter was doing at the beginning before he started, when he was walking on water. He was literally walking on water like Jesus, right? Because he was looking at Jesus and walking on water. And then he was like, wait, hold up. Why am I walking on water? And then he looked around, there's storms. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, snap, there is storms. I'm about to fall. Now he took his eyes off Jesus. What happened? He was sinking. He started slipping. He was going down deeper in the water. And he was like, God, save me, right? And that applies to us too. Many times we can really walk on water when we focus on Jesus. We can really go through our problems, emotion, anxieties, and temptations, troubles, tribulations when we just focus on Jesus. Because when you take your eyes off Jesus, what you're not doing, you're turning your eyes to yourself. Now you become your own God, thinking you can do this on your own. When he took his eyes off God, he was not like, oh, I'm doing this on my own now. He was like, I'm tripping, I'm falling. I just took my eyes off Jesus. What's going on? Now the storm is even heavier. You cannot notice the storms when your eyes is set on God. And I feel like many people go through life just trying to like go through the motion, try to like walk in the storms, thinking that if you don't focus on God, everything is going to be okay.
Right.
That happens to like a lot of us. And it's like I just wanted to talk on that too, because that's something Peter was going through when he was on the boat, like literally all the storms, and this guy was literally walking on water. I believe Ayo can walk on water. And why do I believe that? I believe that if Ayo focus on God and do the things God is telling him to do, he's going to excel. He's going to really blow up and like elevate. But when Ayo now take his eyes of God and Jesus and feel like, hey, I'm just going through the motion. We're not supposed to go through the motion.
That's real.
And that's what a lot of us do. We go through the motion. Don't go through the motion. I believe Ayo needs to focus on God and trust in God. And when God say this, do that. Don't do the opposite. If you procrastinate while God is telling you this, you're just wasting time. Your blessings delaying. Your prosperity is delaying. Your anxiety is now filling up more because you're not really putting your faith in God. And that's what a lot of us do. A lot of people go through this.
That's real.
When God say this, like when he say we should just follow through it.
Right.
And it's not to like come off like we don't know the truth. We know the truth, bro.
Right.
Like we all know we're supposed to read our Bible.
Right.
We know we're supposed to listen to God.
Right.
But what is stopping, preventing us from doing that? Distractions.
Yeah.
When we get distracted, someone's like, man, now we're paying attention to the storms.
Right.
So the storm is
That's
just there to
facts.
distract us.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And I just feel like when you was talking about Peter, it really touched me. Like, yo, that's that, because Peter was like, yo, I'm about to walk through.
Right, right.
Let me just do this.
Right.
But knowing that he was humble enough to ask for help.
Right.
And that's a lot of things. That's another thing too.
That's
That
good.
many of us, we don't do. We don't ask for help because we feel like we're embarrassed to ask for help. Man, pride. When pride kicks in, man, you don't want to ask nobody for help.
Right.
You just want to go through the motion and just deal with it.
And that's crazy because that's exactly that was me. Like I was that person who didn't. There was a point in my life where I literally I felt like people didn't deserve to know what was going on with me.
Why?
Because it was like, yo, number one, how are you going to even help me? Who are you? You feel me? What, you don't think I can help myself? Like that was my mentality, bro.
Yeah.
And that's how I was moving through life, where it was like, yo, like for example, like on some stuff, like I'll be Peter, oh snap, the storm. I'll be like, oh nah, Jesus, I got it. I can try to. And the thing is, it's like, and it's crazy because like, let's really think about it. I really want to ask this question because it's going to tie into what you just said. Do you think Peter was supposed to sink? And do you think that Peter was the one who was supposed to walk out on that water?
I think there was a huge lesson in that. I believe that was written in the Bible to teach you and I something right now. And Peter wasn't supposed to sink.
You sure?
But he sank. I also believe in this too. He only sunk because of lack of faith. When he start disbelieving or taking when he took his eyes of Jesus, that's when he starts sinking. Notice that, right? Yo, let me tell you how far Peter walked on water. It's not just 1, 2, 3 steps. He was walking on water for a while.
Right.
Literally walking on water. He was almost at Jesus before he started sinking. And mind you, Jesus was far away from him. This the boat, Jesus all the way over there. So you can't tell me Peter didn't walk on water. If Peter walk on, I can walk on water because he was human. Right? He was almost at Jesus' feet. He was literally at his destination before he started sinking. Why? Because he was like, snap, I'm walking on water. Is this real? Now he started doubting. When he started doubting, took his eyes of Jesus, he was sinking. Then he asked for help. So was Peter supposed to sink? Me personally, I believe no, he wasn't supposed to sink, but he sunk because he took his eyes of Jesus.
Let me put you on to something.
All right, bet.
I'll ask you another question. Very simple answer. Why do God test us? Or why do you think God puts us through trials and tribulations? What would be a short answer version of that?
That's a good one. Why do God test us? I believe God tests our faith to see, how far we can, believe in him and trust in him.
To add on to that, God also tests us to expose what's in the heart, right? Do you know what Peter's name mean?
Nah, elaborate me.
You know Peter's name mean rock, right?
I'm just now knowing that.
So what do rocks do when they hit water? They sink.
Sink, yeah.
Which means, what if God really put him in that position because he needed him to sink, because there were some things in his heart that Peter thought he was, but he wasn't. Think about it. Peter was the main person who was always like, Jesus, I'm for you. But you denied me 3 times, though. Jesus, I'll kill for you. I'll do this. Satan want to sift you like wheat. We have all these different examples of Peter trying to be this big and bad and prideful, arrogant dude, but he folded when it came up to it. So Jesus in that moment needed to show Peter, bro, you're not that guy, pal. And I think a lot of the reasons why the reason why I had to go through that anxiety, you're not that guy, pal. You think you got the weight in the world on your shoulders, everything revolve around you? No. You love your life so much, what if I take it from you? What if I put you in a position where your life almost gets taken away from you because you love your life so much? I was so scared to death when I went through anxiety, but through life, before that situation, I felt like I was, ain't nothing can happen now. Oh, my fault. Ain't nothing can happen to Guap. Guap him. Until God said, oh, word, Guap him? All right, let me start this storm up. Mind you, Jesus was the same person who stopped the storms, right? Which means who caused it? Jesus did. Peter needed to sink in order to show himself, you're not that guy. And I think I needed to sink, and God called me to himself, because through life, he understood, Ayo, you're not who you think you are. So do you think that even in the midst of anxiety, do you feel like the reason why that is because the situations, like, for example, your business, right? What if God is allowing commotion to happen to show you where your faith is at in that aspect of your walk with him?
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Like I said, just to answer your question, there's currently my business, God has been revealing his character to me like crazy.
Yeah, you told me that one story about the oh my gosh, this when you was coaching the one dude and God was talking, that joint was hard.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's like he's been putting me into a lot of tests to truly see if I really trust him.
Right.
And during that time, it's like when the test comes, when God showed himself to me, like, hey, I got you. This is what it is. I'm really here for you. And when I hit rock bottom, he picks me up. He's always on time. He's like, it's never been a time he's late. There's time where I can't even pay my bills, bro. I can't pay my bills. And I'm relying on my daily bread. What's providing my daily bread for me? On time,
Right.
people are coming to me. They need my service. It's like he's always there for me. He's like showing me, yo, trust me. It's not that I cannot give you abundance. I'm just putting you in this situation now so you can trust me.
Right.
I'm teaching you how to trust me. There's more coming. There's more coming. I want to put you in a situation that's going to make you very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And can you say, I trust God in this? Or can you be like, can you be in a mode where you just panic and try to do something outside of God's will?
Right.
Because that's what most people do. When it comes down to them hitting rock bottom in survival mode, they now start doing things that's out of God's will.
Right. They act very impulsively.
Exactly. Desperately.
Right.
So now, that's why I've been learning the character of God. Bro, since April, we're now in December. God has been providing all my needs and wants. He's been providing that for me. And it has teach me how to fully trust God, bro. There is not one doubt in my heart right now about God. I can be crushing right now. I'll trust God still. Like, that's something he has taught me. So it's like, when it comes to like survival mode and like being able to know to lean on God, to trust in him at, just all my faith, all my desires, my might and strength, just trust in him fully without, feeling like I can do this on my own. Something like, like you were saying, Peter, maybe he had to be in that situation because his name is Rock. Maybe he had to sink. Some of us, it's not that God wants us to sink. It's not his desire to hurt us or to harm us. He's trying to build us up, to teach us something. Because what are you if you're not if your teachers cannot really teach you nothing?
Right.
Who is God to you if he can teach you? If every time he's just coming through for you every single time and you can't even like learn nothing of what he's teaching you, what is the teacher for? Why am I spending money to go to school if the teacher cannot really allow me to go through the process? Give me a test. Because when you take a test, what happens? It shows the teacher if you're good at it or not. If you failed, you do it again. If you pass, there's another test. So in life, there's always going to be test after test after test. God is always going to test us. Same thing with Abraham. There's not one time God didn't test Abraham. When he tested Abraham, what did Abraham say? He didn't ask God any question. He just said yes. Many times it was in the Bible. Give me your child. Yes. Why am I giving you I'll ask you a question. Why am I giving you my child? You give him to me. Why you want to take him back now? But he didn't ask that. He just submit. So I believe that when it comes to like anxieties, right? There will be time where we are overwhelmed. There will be time our problems feels too heavy to bear. But trust me, God would never give us a problems or put us to a situation that he knows that we cannot overcome. Right? And like he's always going to be there for us to provide for us, to protect us, to cover us, to let us know that, hey, you can trust in me. You may not want to tell your mom and dad what you're going through. You may feel like they might condemn you. You might not want to tell your brothers and sisters what you're going through because you feel like they might judge you or prosecute you. Right. But hey, I'm your God, your Lord and Savior. You can tell me what you're going through. You can be honest with me. If you don't feel like talking to me today, say, God, I don't feel like talking to you today.
Straight up.
Hey, he would hear you out, and guess what? He's going to comfort you. He's going to encourage you to come talk to him. Right. He's not going to push you away. Oh, Loyalty don't want to talk to me. Oh, I don't want to talk to me today. And they're telling me he's not going to feel hurt by it. He appreciates your honesty. However you feel, tell him how you feel today. Yeah. Because what will cause me to not want to talk to God? Maybe I might be having a stressful day. I don't want to talk to no one. Sometimes I don't want to talk to my mom and dad. Why? I'm stressed. I'm going through emotions. There's this problem, that problem. And I don't want to talk to no one. I just want to be by myself. I just want to be left alone. But when it comes to God, we should never want to be left alone because he's the only reason why we can come out of the situation that we're incurrently without really crushing out.
Yeah. I got a couple more points. I got 3 more points, and we're going to wrap this up. So I want to speak to that, right? Unmasked, right? You said something that really showed, that really caught my attention. You said something about trusting God. I think you said exactly that I trust God 100%.
Yeah.
So I want to ask this question and circle back to something that you said. If you trust God 100%, which means in every aspect of your life you trust him, why are you afraid of failure?
That's a good one. You just got me on that one too. The reason why I say I trust God 100%, why am I afraid of failure? Number one, there's some things that is just out of my control, all right? And when something is in another man's control, right, you better be thinking, what is that man going to do? What if he's not a man of God? Or what if he's not after God's heart? How is his action going to affect you? It's not fully in my hands. If everything was fully in my control and I just cast it to God and say, hey, I'll be fine. But there are situations that are just out of control, and only God can like solve things that is out of your control. And the reason why like I'm afraid to fail is because there's responsibilities on me that's outside of me. And these responsibilities causes me to want to fight. And even though God is my provider and I trust him fully, but God also expects me to take actions. And with the actions, that caused me to now want to get up and move. If I lay down and do nothing, I'm not obeying God. So why am I afraid of failure? Is even though I'm a human being and I'm trying to take actions, is that there are sometimes I'm going to bump into situations of people that their actions or how their emotions might affect me if I don't take actions on what needs to be done. If that makes sense to you. So it's like,
because here's the thing, like everything you're saying makes sense, But I'm saying, you said you trust in God 100%. Like there's no shaking, no wavering. Like in every situation, you trust God. That's how I'm taking it. So if that's the case, even when you fail, right? Because what you said was, I don't know how I'm gonna react or how I'm gonna get up. And then after that, you actually proceeded to say that God will lift you up. So if you know that every time you fail, God will lift you up, why are you afraid of failure?
My flesh.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Makes sense.
Is this?
So with that being said, would you say with you being in your flesh, do you 100% trust God?
I believe that I don't trust my flesh. I trust God. I don't trust my flesh. My flesh disobeyed God.
Okay.
So I trust God to resolve all my problems and issues, and I fully put my trust in Him. But my flesh is rebellious,
Okay.
and my flesh wants to do what the flesh wants to do.
So if things are out of your control, it has nothing to do with your flesh, though.
Okay, and when you say things are out of my control, it has nothing to do with my flesh. That I put my trust. Obviously, I give that to God.
Right.
So He has to handle that. But I'm talking about what if like procrastinate. Why do we procrastinate? Why are you procrastinating?
But with me, the reason why I procrastinate, if you really want me to be honest, there's a couple reasons. Let me tell you the reasons why I procrastinate. One, let's say, like, for example, let's say if I do something, right, and it doesn't perform or it doesn't do exactly what, like, I intended to do, it will discourage me. I'll push it off. That's number one. Number two, pride. I feel like I have time.
How's that? Wait, if you have time, how's that like pride?
Because, all right, in the book of James, it talks about to paraphrase, who are you to say that tomorrow I'll go do this, tomorrow I'll go do that, when you're not in control of your own life.
True,
what you should say is, if God wills.
But God's grace.
That's what I'm
There
saying.
you go.
It's pride where it's like, I got time, you feel me? Like, God's not going to kill me. Like, I mean, God, please don't kill me. But I'm saying, like, I don't know what my life will look like tomorrow. You feel me? And I push it off. And the reason why I'm saying this pride is because I'm not caring about my tomorrow. Something could happen tomorrow where it will keep me pushing that thing away. You feel me? And three, I'm not gonna lie, like, let's be honest. Like, we're men, we're human beings, so therefore I like to be entertained. I don't want to sit down and, this is me being completely honest. Can I unmask myself real quick? There's times where I don't feel like picking up my Bible because it's boring sometimes. Where it's like, do I really want to read through all these genealogies right now? I'd rather go watch a YouTube video. Those are reasons why I procrastinate.
Do you also think that that's the flesh then?
Yeah, most definitely it's the flesh.
So it's like you trust God, right? You put your trust in Him.
I'm not going, and this is me being honest before Him. I'm not going to say I completely 100% put my trust in God, because at the end of the day, my mind is futile. Even if I say that, my actions will say otherwise. God, I 100% trust in you. Dang, I don't got no money for my bills. What am I going to do? You're worrying.
That's a good point.
You feel me?
Just to go back on that, right? Me saying, God, I 100% put my trust in you. If I gonna put myself in a situation that I'm not supposed to be put in,
oh, that's different.
that's crazy, right?
It's like,
so it's like, bro, all right, you 100% put your trust in God, right? And God says, do this and do that so you don't lack.
I'm striving to be there, by the way.
Right.
For y'all don't think
He's telling you to do this and do that so you don't lack. Even though I say I put my trust in Him, I can still not do what He's telling me to do, and then find myself in a situation, and then I'm like,
dang,
right. I should have listened. I should have listened to Him. We don't always listen to Him.
So that means would you say that, with that being said, do we 100% put our trust in Him? Because if we trust somebody, we will listen to that person all the time.
What if that's true? What if sometimes you want to be in the spotlight, even though they say you have a, let's say you have a mentor, or forget a mentor, you have someone you trust, and they're always leading you, helping you and everything. You trust them. What if sometimes you just feel like you want to do on your own? That might come from like you don't trust them, right? It might sound like you don't trust them, but it just sounds like pride, like.
But that's
your flesh.
So you're right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm like, for example, I have, well, they're not here no more. My boy Anthony and John, they was just here, right? Mind you, with them, I do trust them because everything that they have told me has worked. But obviously they're man, they're futile, so obviously there's gonna be some failures there. But let's just say with them, they're doing stuff. And let's just say, let me see how my stuff works. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say they tell me something. Oh, da-da-da-da. And let's say, oh, Ayo. Mind you, I have a history with them showing me, like, oh, this joint works. And then out of nowhere, they're like, hey, Ayo, like, I want you to do this. And I'm just like, okay. And I take it, and I'm like, nah. That's just me rebelling. But why am I rebelling if it's worked every time? If they have 100% pulled through every single time, why would I then rebel if it's working? If something's not broke, don't fix it. So therefore, if I break it, it's because I didn't trust that thing. I didn't trust it enough to continue in the way that they're telling me. If I've trusted them 10 times and the 11th time, like I trusted somebody 10 times and they pulled through all 10 times, and I choose out of nowhere, hey, nah. And let's say the plan actually was supposed to work, bro, I didn't trust that 11th plan. So I don't fully trust that person.
I hear you. Whenever everything you're saying makes complete sense. That's in the physical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we're talking about the spiritual perspective, I can say I trust God fully. And there might be like a situation I'm in and I'm worrying at that time, even though I say I trust God. I know that what's happening is temporary and it's causing me, because I'm a human, is a reaction. I have to react to it. You cannot be a human and say you're not going to react.
Absolutely.
Right? So me saying I put my trust in God doesn't mean I'm not ever going to react or get in a place where I never.
My fault. Sorry, y'all. Listen, y'all subscribe, get us monetized so we can buy cameras that never stop recording. How about that? Anyway, your question. I'm gonna answer your question. So that's what I'm saying in the aspect of, all right, my flesh is involved. But if you're saying that you 100% trust God, mind you, your flesh can't do what it needs to do unless if you, as in your spirit, allows it to. You have control over your flesh. So if you want your flesh to respond to your spirit, which trusts God 100%, you have that ability. Like the Bible literally says the spirit is subject to the spirit is subject to the prophet, which means you have authority over this. This is your body. This is your machine. You have, like, whatever you say goes. So that's what I'm saying. If you're saying, okay, I trust God with my mouth, but my actions is showing other words, you don't 100% fully trust God. There's still a little bit of doubt there. That's why even in our walk, even now, that's why we still need God. That's why God allows certain things to happen. Because if, like, think about it. Let's say, like, for example, if we 100% trust God in absolutely every area, like, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to 100% truthfully trust God. I'm not saying it's impossible. That's something that I'm striving to get to where no matter what happens, my mind is already on Him. I pray to get there. I pray to get there.
And that's realistic. But that's what I'm saying.
And I understand it's realistic, but this is what I'm saying. 100% trust means you know who you're trusting, which means you know that they're going to pull through. So whether it's a reaction or not, there should be no reaction if you 100% trust this person.
I get what you're saying, right? God is a spirit. I'm a being. Whatever I do here does not affect what He is or what He does. Right. It doesn't affect who He is.
Right.
I am born as a flesh. And I'm in a body. Even if my spirit wants to be holy forever, I'm in a body that's unholy, right? No matter what I do for the rest of my life until the day I die, I'm going to fall short.
Right.
Right? Means saying, if I say I trust, no matter what, I put my trust in God. It's not wrong of me. It's not wrong for me to say I fully trust God, because I do. If I say I fully trust God, if there's a situation that comes up and I just, like, there's a worry that just passed through my mind, or like a little bit of that just passed through my mind, it's temporary, it's passing through. Now, if I'm stuck on that, like, this is never going to resolve itself, I'm worrying and just thinking it over and over, that's me doubting Him.
So do you feel like in the space of worry then? So do you think, so that's what I'm saying. If you know God is supreme and He has all power and control over absolutely everything, if a situation happens, should you worry?
if a situation happened as a human being,
No. I'm just forget the human being. If you're in this walk in a situation, and we go through trials and tribulations every single day that we wake up on this earth, right? If we know God, if we truly believe his word, like I'm talking about 100% believe his word, that like, yo, no matter what, bro, I don't care what's going on, I'm 100% trusting God in every aspect of my life. If something happens, right? Mind you, knowing that God controls absolutely everything, that God has his hand on everything, knowing that God is who he says he is, should worry even cross your mind if you truly believe it?
what about Jesus? Listen.
We can't use Jesus.
What about Jesus? Did things cross his mind?
I'm not
Did
saying
temptation cross his mind?
bro, but he's
didn't act upon it.
But time out. But we're all right. We're comparing a person who is perfect, a perfect being, to an imperfect human being. Jesus obviously trusted the Father a lot because he was God himself. So obviously that makes sense. I'm saying in a person who is not like Jesus, who's imperfect, a person who, regardless, because Jesus, even though he was in the flesh, he didn't sin, which means his flesh had no control over what he wanted to do. Which means, not saying that he still didn't go through things emotionally, like he didn't have certain worries or thoughts in his mind. Okay. I'm saying this, for a person who is futile, somebody who situations can happen to all the days of their life, and they're 100% put their faith in God and put their trust in God, especially with sin in the body. Do you think that in any situation, absolutely any situation, because I'm going to be honest, like I was saying, for a person who is in their flesh, for a person who is like is in sin, not in sin, but like sin in the body, because we're imperfect beings. Just even in the fact that we are imperfect beings, do you think a human being who is imperfect can fully 100% trust God? 100%, as in no worries. If something happens, it's like, what does worrying even mean?
So that's a valid question, though. So, but does that mean is in no human being supposed to use the word "I fully trust God"?
It's not that I'm not. This is what I'm saying. I think saying fully trust God
means 100%.
means 100%. Yes. Yeah. What I'm saying is, I truly think we should strive to be that way. But as long as we're in this flesh suit, there's no possible way. Me personally, y'all can kill me in the comments. I don't care. Me personally, Ayo, don't think that a person can fully 100% trust God, knowing everything that happens, knowing that there's some things that's in your control and out of your control. There's things that you don't know that's going to happen, and there's things that are premeditated that you know, oh, snap, this is about to happen. Life hits you out of nowhere. So there's going to be a little bit of doubt. There's going to be a little bit of worry. There's going to be a little bit of anxiety. Because if that's the case, if we truly trust God and his, like, obviously I trust God. I'm not going to say I fully 100% trust God, but I trust God to the point where, bro, I will give my life for this man. If like, for example.
So why are you giving your life if you don't fully trust him?
I do. I trust him. Look, it's not that I don't trust him. I truly believe in him. I truly trust him. I'm saying I trust him with my life in the aspect of, bro, I know he has good things for me. I trust that because I've seen the evidence.
So for you to trust someone with your life, you better fully trust him.
Right. You're okay. In that aspect, okay. I respect that. This is my thing. There's a difference. Do you think there's a difference between trusting somebody with your life or trusting somebody in the aspect of your life? For example, if I trust, like, for example, I trust God with my life because I know he has a plan for me. I fully 100% believe that he has a plan for me. I trust that aspect of him. I trust that. If a situation happens, like, let's say, like, I don't know, like life going cool, then whoop de whoop, something, boom, worry comes in. Dang, I don't trust God in my area of my finances. God, you're not providing for me right now. What's going on? I don't trust him in that area.
Bro.
So mind you, if you truly, like for example, if I truly, like, for example, I trust you, right?
Yeah.
You're a human being. Obviously, I don't 100% trust you, but there's things that I truly, to my core, trust you with. Mm-hmm. I trust you that you will never bad talk me because you've shown me evidence of that. But now let's say if I've seen you edit a video before, I'm like, loyalty, I'm not trusting you to edit a video. I'm not putting no video in front of you.
I'm a good editor, bro.
That don't mean that I don't trust you at all. It's just that you have to show me a little bit more in that aspect so I can trust you to that point. That's what I'm saying. I'm striving to get to that point.
And I get what you're saying, though.
Right.
But guess what? The fact that I'm not an all-rounded human being to be good at everything, you have all right to put your trust in me in certain areas and not certain areas. But because God is all around God in every single there's nothing that he's not good at. There's every single thing he's good at.
So why does worry exist? And if that's the case, why does worry exist?
All right, let me say something, yeah?
In your personal relationship.
So let's say, for example,
okay,
you have a car. Lord, please don't make me
See, look, worry.
No,
See, look.
I'm not worried. I just
oh my gosh! All right, go ahead.
I'm not worried. If I'm missing something for my car, Lord, don't let anything happen to my car. I just put my trust in him, right? I just put my trust in him. So don't let anything happen to my car, right? So when I'm saying, all right, let's say you have a car.
All right.
You're driving, you hear all these noise in the car. It's a warning to go and fix it.
Right.
But you choose not to go and fix it. And now something really, at the point where you are broke, no money, nothing, and that car just break down. What do you think is going to happen? Oh, God's just going to come fix the car? No, I'm going to react as a human, as a flesh being. I'm like, yo, why is my car?
Right, you're gonna worry.
Does that mean I don't trust God because at that situation
he's
not going to come down and fix the
I'm
car?
not saying that you. No, I'm not saying that. This is what I'm saying. With that same situation, boom. For example, right? You start hearing your car.
Right.
In the midst of you hearing your car, oh my gosh, my car, right? And let's say you start worrying, oh my gosh, I'm about to crash. Oh my gosh, my car's going to do this. Because what happens with anxiety that I realized, your mind starts playing tricks with you. You start painting scenarios in your head that don't even exist. That's not even going to happen. That's what happened with me. So I'm painting a scenario, oh my gosh, I'm worrying. Oh my gosh. But let's just say I don't crash and I get driven to the side. And I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, I got no job right now. Oh my gosh, my car's messed up. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But if you know God is in control of everything, why are you worrying about a job or money for the car? You know he's going to provide that.
Bro, let's be real here.
Am I bugging?
Let's be real. Like, let's be real, bro. If your account is tricky. Let's be real, bro. Let's be honest here.
If you're joining the negatives.
If your account is not in a good place and something bad happened to your car, I don't care if you're David, if you're Job, if you're Abraham, Peter, you're going to worried a bit. You're going to be like, yo, what's going on? Because you don't have it to really.
But that's what I'm saying.
You can't say, you can still trust God in that moment.
Yes,
you can. You can fully put your trust in God. Say, God, I'm praying to you and I'm submitting this to you. Please work your miracle. You can put your trust in him and move, and just because you put your doesn't mean that the situation ain't there. You're still going to think about it.
You're going to be concerned about it.
Right? It doesn't mean I don't trust God. It just means at that moment something terrible just happened, and
all right, you can hit the record button.
I should keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
It just means at that moment something terrible just happened, and it's like, yo, I'm reacting. I'm human. I have to react. There's not one human being wanting to react. And just because I react doesn't mean I don't fully trust him. It just means at that time my bank crying. That's what it means. It means your bank is crying and something just happened to your car. Lord, no, please, I'm praying to you. That's what it means, bro. Let's be honest here, bro.
All right, so that's that. All right, next point. Yo, my head hurts. Whew, Jesus, that was funny. He said my bank crying. All right, my next point is this. So, moving on, about to wrap up. We've talked about how you've dealt with situations, how I've dealt with situations. With anxiety, right? Now, what if a person, right? And I'm asking this question from the aspect of, from your point. where, you have that relationship with God where you're worrying, you go straight to your secret place. You're worrying, you can point back to the word. What if a person doesn't have that capacity? What if that person doesn't have that relationship with God to where they can do those things, right? Because it's easy for the Bible to say, don't be anxious about anything, but instead pray about everything. But what if you don't feel like praying? Like, what if you don't feel like, what do that person do?
When it comes to praying, there's many ways you can communicate to God. Me personally, sometimes, if I don't feel like praying, I worship. Music. Through worship music.
That's real.
Why? Because it's like, it is a sense of pleasure to me. It doesn't feel like I have to go in my closet, get on my knees. It just feels like I'm in my car or I'm in my house. I have the speaker on, the worship music playing. I'm flowing with it, and I'm just rejoicing in that moment. It comes off as, it's not a home. It doesn't feel like a burden. It doesn't feel like, it's not a tradition. It's just on how I feel. Since okay, I feel like right now I don't feel like praying. We all been there, bro.
Absolutely.
Do you always feel like praying?
Boy.
I want to know the person who can say that they always feel like praying. Like,
Right.
it's, you really, I wish that's good. I would, no. But if you don't always feel like praying, you can worship. If I don't feel like praying, I want to worship.
So here's the thing, right? What if they pull an Adam and Eve and they don't even want to go to God? Like, what if they're anxious and they just like, you know what? I don't even feel like, you know what? I'm anxious. God's not pulling through. I don't even feel like doing anything with him. I don't feel like being in his presence.
Is it going to hurt you to be honest with him?
But that's what I'm saying. But that's in the aspect of where that's where it differs, where it's like, all right, you're speaking from an aspect of a relationship with God, a spiritual aspect. For that person who's not there yet,
Okay.
and it's more practical for them, where it's like, all right, well, I tried praying, I tried being in his presence, I tried opening my Bible, like nothing is working. What do I do?
So for someone who is not there yet,
Right.
and they're taking it one step at a time, I believe that a mustard seed, just a little bit of mustard seed, can move God as well too. You don't need to have all the faith. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be at 100% before you feel like God is going to move in your life, or things are going to work out. Wherever you are, know that God is going to meet you wherever you are. Whether you're a baby Christian, a mother Christian, or a grandmom Christian, whatever it is, God is going to meet you where you are. So if you're someone and you feel like you're not there yet, and you're trying to figure things out, you feel like you've prayed, things ain't working out, you have expressed your feelings to God, things ain't working out, I would say here, be consistent with your prayer. Be consistent with your worship. Be consistent with God. Same way, if you start a business or you want to do something, you work here and there, and then you stop. There is no results. So it's same with God too. You need to be consistent with God. Mm-hmm. And I know it sounds like, oh, what's the solution here? The solution is this. Only God is a solution. You need to go one step at a time. Stop trying to overwhelm yourself with everything. Stop trying to overthink everything. Stop trying to put all the burdens on you. Stop trying to figure it out by yourself. One step at a time, day by day, time by time, and focus on God. Pray. If you don't feel like praying, be honest. Say, God, I don't feel like praying. I feel like I'm stressed. I feel anxiety. I feel mixed emotions. What do? I don't feel like praying. That's you being honest with him. And he's going to come and meet you where you're at. And when I say he's going to come, doesn't mean he's going to come just. He might send someone your way, another person. You might have a conversation with a random stranger. You might have with anyone, and they might be speaking of the things that you're going through right now. That's God meeting you where you're at. He doesn't have to come physically so you can see him. Wherever you are, he's going to meet you there. I don't care if you don't know the Bible and you just give your life to Christ today and you don't know anything about him. He's going to help you no matter what. So it's like you need to trust God. You need to put your faith in God, and you need to take the baby steps, little by little, action by action, day by day. Focus on God. If you have to read one verse a day, that's progress. One verse a day can lead to 2 verses a day. 2 verses a day can lead to 3 verses a day. Step by step. We're not in a competition here. We're not comparing ourselves with nobody. Go at the pace where you know you are comfortable at, and then God is going to bring you up to places that will make you more uncomfortable so you can grow. Because if you're comfortable in where you're at, just staying there, you're not progressing. You need to be in a place where, okay, I'm good here. This is where I'm at. This is the pace I'm at. I want to grow more. Step by step, step by step. It's almost like a ladder. You're climbing up a ladder. If you just act like you're climbing the ladder, you're not climbing. You need to actually climb the ladder so you can go up. That's how God is. Wherever you are, he's going to come down and meet you. If you're at the bottom, he's going to come at the bottom, get his hand dirty, and then pick you up. If you're at the top, you meet you at the top. You're in the middle, he's going to come there and meet you at the middle. So there's no one has an excuse that, oh, I'm in this place. God is going to meet you where you're at.
How I answer that question is a little different. It's something that human beings do all the time, but they don't utilize it. For a person who don't feel like talking to God, a person who don't feel like being in his presence, or a person who don't feel like going to the Bible when they're in an anxiety attack or struggling with anxiety, their thoughts is running rampant, or let's say they tried everything. For the person who's tried everything, who's prayed, and nothing's happening, just one word: wait. I think the Bible says,
What if they feel like they've waited too long?
if they feel like they waited too long, I'm gonna be honest. This is what I would say. When I feel like God is not answering me, when I feel like God is not as close to me when I'm going through these situations, you actually said it, so I'm gonna take the words out of your mouth. Consistency. And what I mean by consistency is, even if you feel like you've waited too long, serve. Still do what you're supposed to do. The last thing that you heard from God is what you should. The last thing that you feel like you heard from God, continue doing that. The reason why I'm saying that is because a lot of times when we feel like God doesn't talk in the situation, it's not that he doesn't answer. My girlfriend said this. Bro, shout out to. You feel me? Mind you.
He said,
That
went over my head.
so shout out to, you feel me? She told me that God's silence is his response. Which means that if you're not hearing nothing, it's either A, God already told you, or B, it's in the midst of what you're going through. It's just that you're not seeing
I'm
it.
going to add on that too.
So that's that. Now, for the person who don't want to do those things, who feel like, man, I don't feel like talking to God, like all this is going on, I feel like he's not answering. One thing that I feel like people do every single day that we don't utilize is our breath. And what I mean by that is, anxiety is when your mind is, people don't know how to meditate, bro. People don't know how to relax. Breathing is actually one of the most important things when it comes to psychology, because what breathing does, it actually regulates your mind and gets your mind back regulated, where you can actually think through what you're actually going through. When you can actually think back to certain things. And what breathing does, especially when you're slowly breathing, what it's doing is it's calming your body, and also it's slowing your thoughts down. That's why when you're in meditation, these thoughts start coming and you literally feel them passing your mind. It's because your mind is going on a slowdown. I think the reason why people always, when they're anxious, they hyperventilate. They don't know how to calm themselves down. I think that right there is number one best way to regulate yourself, because maybe even in the midst of that debriefing, that meditation, God will speak to you. So even if you don't want to talk to him, guess what? He's gonna talk to you though. You just gotta breathe first. But what you want to say to that point? That we
I want to add on to what
his silence is his response.
And that was something God taught me too in my teaching. Right, when I was teaching a kid, I was training him. I told him exactly what to do, and he knew how to do it. He was doing it, and then he stopped doing it. And he started making a mistake. What I did was I kept quiet. I just kept quiet. I said to myself, he's going to figure it out. I was quiet, and I gave him a look. That look is telling me, is telling him that you know what to do.
That's good.
And then, boom, he just started hitting the shots, making it. I didn't have to say a word to him again. I didn't have to keep repeating myself over and over again. I just looked at him. And it was quiet. And he started doing it.
Ew.
Right? And that when that happened, I'm like, hold up. When I feel like God isn't talking to me, is that means he's already spoken to me, and then I'm just not doing what I need to be doing.
Uh-oh.
So it's like he's already told me the answer is not. He's not going to keep repeating himself over and over and over again, because me as a teacher, I'll be stressed out. Just repeating myself to someone who's just stubborn, like you're not doing what you need to be doing, I'll just look at you. I give you that look.
That's good.
And that also applied to me too. Sometimes I feel like God is giving me that look from heaven. Like, and I looked at him like, all right.
You right. Dang.
Let me just do it. And I just wanted to add on that.
No, that's good.
That's
no, that's
real life
good.
lesson,
That's
bro.
good. Nah, like this was a good pod, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This was a good pod. Good conversation, man. Listen, man. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this video, man. If we bless you with this conversation, wait till next week. We got a special guest coming on. You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all be here next week for that, because y'all don't want to miss it. But this has been The Unmasked, man. If y'all enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Shout out to Great Day Ministries once again. If you want more of our content, man, hit both of us up on our socials. All that will be down below. Tune in every Monday at 2 p.m. when I don't struggle with editing.
I hope not, bro. I hope you don't struggle, bro.
Listen. Every single time we've done the pod, I don't know what's been going on, but we're going to get it together. But yeah, man, we love y'all. This has been The Unmasked, where we unmask the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Peace.
We out of here.